involving just about every attack in the book. I made the university's IT department look like damn fools.
Why did you stop at the university?
Well, there was, I don't know if you've looked me up much, but I mentally had some issues hacking some computers and was not welcome. I was not in a good place mentally at the time.
Wow, what was going on? What was going on?
I was still with death with my mom.
A year before Daniel was arrested and expelled from school, his mother, Linda Beckwith, died of cancer, which she hid from her family and medical professionals. In 2013, Daniel returned to his childhood home on Danbury Road as its sole occupant. His father moved into a retirement home after his Parkinson's disease had deteriorated.
Did you have any problem him leaving you here by yourself?
Oh yeah, I mean, I took it very hard at first. I'm like, oh, first my mom's dead, and now my dad's gone, and I'm in Hampton, you know. It's one of the reasons I first started the shelter too. I was worried about like people coming in and harming me and stuff, and I wanted a more defensive position than a regular house, you can say.
Daniel inherited $2.6 million after his mother's death. With that, he began to invest in Bitcoin, and he made a fortune. In a now deleted Reddit comment, Daniel thanked the technology board on 4chan, G, for turning him onto Bitcoin as early as 2010. In a Reddit Ask Me Anything, he wrote about his life as a multi-millionaire, under 40 years old. I still shop at Walmart. I don't hang out at country clubs all day golfing. I do a lot of heavy manual labor that I could easily pay others for. I usually don't tell people I'm rich. When I do, the reaction is generally nonplussed, but occasionally people seem to develop inferiority complexes and feel uncomfortable. After Askia's death, prosecutors said that Daniel had as much as $16 million stashed away in profits he made day trading stocks and buying Bitcoin. Over the course of the next 4 years, Daniel lived a solitary existence. Other than briefly studying to become an EMT, he stayed cooped up in his childhood home while his hoarding conditions worsened. He had little interest in participating in the real world. He didn't own a phone, he preferred Google Voice instead. Rather than renewing his car insurance after it expired, he chose to rent a vehicle on the rare occasion that he needed one. And of course, as a recluse, he had no interest in obtaining a passport. He was a multi-millionaire who wasn't interested in spending his wealth. Instead, he remained living in his modest childhood home and tinkering with machinery just like he did during his adolescence.
I actually got a call, and it was an IRS investigator, and they were asking me about his Bitcoin account. They were basically saying that he was in possession of basically like $1.2 billion worth of Bitcoin. Around the time of the call, the Bitcoin were like $55,000 of Bitcoin. And he had $1.2 billion worth of them, like, you know, somewhere in the blockchain. That was around the time I found out that he had, hired that kid and he died, in that tunnel, working at his house in Bethesda.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
How did you meet Askia?
That's a deep-rooted memory right there. But I first met Askia in kindergarten. He was an amazing human being. He was incredibly intelligent. He was very friendly. He was kind. He was considerate. I think everybody that he knows can definitely just give a testament to how much they enjoyed being around him.
He was a person that you wanted to be around. He always just brought so much joy to everyone. He always had the craziest ideas. He's always like the entertainer. I don't know anyone that didn't like him.
Meeting him early in elementary school, he was always like a super fun kid, always laughing. We played in jazz band together in 8th grade, both playing guitar. There were a lot of things that came very, very naturally to him as a musician and as a guitar player that I don't feel like I developed until later on.
Askia was a budding musician. He emulated Jimi Hendrix, both in substance and style. He was also quite a good trombone player, a wrestler. He also played lacrosse. I remember when he was in 5th grade, he topped the class and he actually got a presidential award certificate from President George W. Bush at the time.
You were proud of him?
Yes, I was proud of him, but I was also concerned. I was concerned about the fact that he dropped out of college. I told him that he should have been able to try and develop his business while still pursuing his undergraduate degree. You see, I don't believe that wealth is a measure of a man. I'm not saying it isn't important. I'm just saying I do not believe it is a measure of a man. I believe the true measure of a man is what he contributes to society, to uplifting society. I believe that's how Askia pictured things. The measure of a man was his wealth. He talked about Jeff Bezos. He talked about Peter Thiel. He talked about Elon Musk. He was just enamored with that. And I believe his philosophy developed here in the States because in this country, it seems to be get rich fast at all cost.
Askia Kafra had big dreams. When he was in middle school, he and his friend Tavon Giaquinto started a landscaping company. In high school, he built a 3D printer, and together they started a company offering 3D printing services. Following that, they started a clothing company.
Me and him were both trying to get into the startup world. I was focused on marketing, and he was focused on more the finance part of things. And at the time, I know he had said equity shark. It really defines who you want to be. When you're looking for people to invest in your company, they typically call those sharks, like on Shark Tank. And so we wanted to create that same type of environment for the average general person, where they can have someone invest in their company.
Askia taught himself coding and worked tirelessly to bring Equity Shark to fruition. They aggressively sought out investors, but no one would give them funding. After applying to Y Combinator and getting rejected in the third round, Askia told Tavon about the Teal Fellowship.
Askia just really sold me on it that day, and he's like, "We got to sign up for this."
Around the same time, Askia started to frequent a now defunct live streaming website called blab.im. On the site was a section dedicated to software developing and investing. One day, while watching the infamous farmer bro Martin Shkreli live stream on the site, he first laid eyes on Daniel Beckwith. Daniel, who used the handle 3 Alarm Lamp Scooter, impressed Askia. Not only did he seem to be friends with Martin Shkreli, but he also claimed to be a multimillionaire investor and hacker. Askia became a regular viewer of Daniel's live stream. Daniel, who liberally shared tips with his viewers about investing and technology, was open to investment opportunities. And one day, Askia contacted him and told him about Equity Shark. They scheduled a meeting at a hookah bar in Rockville, Maryland. Askia and Tavon waited 15 minutes for Daniel to show up. And when he did, they couldn't help but notice that he seemed to have something hidden under his gray t-shirt.
You could clearly see that there was like a bulletproof vest that he was wearing under his shirt. And so I did think that was a little odd at first. I mean, I personally assumed that maybe he was like ex-military or something like that. I didn't really think much of it.
The meeting lasted for 30 minutes. And by the end of it, Daniel Beckwith seemed impressed.
He liked the idea. He loved it. His only thing at the time was, how are we going to get this thing built? How much is it going to cost? At the time, I think the cost for us to get a full prototype done and coded was about 10 grand. When he heard about the Thiel Fellowship, he was super excited. That's what really sold him into, kind of being ready to invest in us that day.
After leaving the hookah bar, they walked Daniel to his truck.
He mentioned how he was going to be going back up north near his way to finish working on his bunker later. And then I remember him saying that, I thought it was kind of odd. Like, oh, interesting, this guy's a bunker. What do you have a bunker for? And I remember him saying, I've been building this for a while. It's just to keep myself protected and safe in case of a nuclear war.
With Daniel's funding, they bought brand new tailored suits in preparation for their meeting with the Teal Fellowship manager. All they had to do was make it to the meeting on time and make a great pitch. But unfortunately, that didn't end up happening.
I don't remember how, but we somehow end up putting in the wrong address. We ended up going to the wrong location. At that point, we're just like, we're just freaking out. We don't know what to do. And we get to the meeting and we're about maybe 15 minutes late. And then they say, hey, look, we ran out of time. We're going to have to call you guys back or schedule the meeting again.
When they arrived back in Maryland, Daniel stopped replying to Askia's messages. After weeks of trying to contact Daniel, Askia wrote to him, I know that this will be successful. There's no doubt in my head. I'd even take this investment as debt, because that's how much I believe in this, even though obviously I don't currently have the money to be able to pay you back. I'd literally work a minimum wage job for a few years if I had to. or just finish school and get a boring-ass job somewhere, or just work it off at the compound. A few weeks later, Daniel finally replied. He agreed to give them more money and took up Askia's offer to help him dig the tunnels. Between January to September 2017, Askia went to Beckwith's house a total of 5 times and stayed there working on the tunnels for days to weeks at a time. Daniel would pick Askia up at his parents' house in the early morning, around 3 a.m.